Before we begin, I want to take a moment to honor the cultures behind the stories we are about to explore. The tales shared here come from many peoples, lands, and traditions. I do not change these stories to fit modern expectations or to align with today's social standards. Instead, I present them as they were told, sometimes beautiful, sometimes harsh, sometimes challenging. We are not here to judge the past, but to understand it, to listen, to learn, and to honor the ancestors who carried these stories forward. We also share stories from various religious traditions. These are presented in their historical and spiritual context, with respect for their beliefs that they represent. Every culture deserves respect, context, and acknowledgement, and this space is dedicated to doing exactly that. Story 1: Robin Hood and the Oath Beneath the Greenwood. In the days when great forests covered much of England and kings ruled from distant castles, the greenwood was a world unto itself. Sunlight filtered through towering oaks, the ears moved silently between the trees, and hidden paths wound through thickets known only to hunters, travelers, and outlaws. Among those who called the forest home was Robin Hood, a skilled archer whose name became famous throughout the land. To some, he was a criminal who defied authority. To others, he was a hero who stood against justice. Yet the stories that survive through generations rarely portray Robin Hood as a solitary figure. His greatest strength came not from his bow, but from his companions who chose to stand beside him. According to the legends, Robin's life in the forest began after conflict with powerful officials forced him beyond the protection of ordinary society. Alone, he might have survived for a time, but survival was not enough. The forests were dangerous places filled with harsh weather, scarce resources, and constant threats from those who sought to capture him. As Robin traveled through the greenwood, he encountered others who had found themselves at odds with the powerful. Some had been treated unfairly, others had lost homes, livelihoods, or opportunities. Though their stories differed, they shared a common understanding of hardship. One by one, these individuals became companions. Little John, whose great height and strength made him a formidable ally, first met Robin under circumstances that nearly led to a fight. Instead, mutual respect grew between them. Well, Scarlet brought skill and determination. Much, the miller's son carried a cheerful spirit that helped sustain the group through difficult times. Friar Tuck offered wisdom and counsel when tempers threatened to rise. Together, they formed a fellowship bond, not by wealth or power, but by loyalty and trust. Life in the forest demanded cooperation. Food had to be gathered, shelters needed to be maintained. Scouts watched for danger along hidden trails. When travelers sought aid or protection, the group worked together to provide it. Challenges that would have overwhelmed one person became manageable when shared among many. The outlaws learned that courage multiplied when companions stood shoulder to shoulder. During times of scarcity, resources were pooled. During moments of danger, every member of the band knew others would come to their aid. The Greenwood became more than a refuge, it became a community. Many stories describe confrontations with sheriffs, soldiers, and powerful nobles who sought to dismantle Robin's band. Yet again and again, the fellowship endured. Their success was rarely the result of individual heroics alone. Instead, victory emerged through cooperation, planning, and loyalty. The members of the band trusted one another because that trust had been earned through shared hardship and sacrifice. For generations, listeners remembered these tales because they reflected a truth that extends far beyond medieval England. Few people overcome life's greatest challenges entirely alone. The abilities who walk beside us often become as important as the journey itself. Robin Hood's stories remind us that friendship, loyalty, and mutual support can transform uncertainty into strength. A single traveler may struggle against overwhelming odds, but a united fellowship can endure hardship that would defeat any one person alone. Story 2: Sundiata and the Companions of Exile. Across the savannas and the river valleys of West Africa, griots preserve the history of kingdoms through stories carried from generation to generation. Among the greatest of these narratives is the Epic of Sundiata, the account of the founder of the Mali Empire. Though Sundiata would eventually become a powerful ruler, the stories emphasize that his rise was not achieved through strength alone. His journey was made possible by the companions who remained loyal during years of uncertainty, hardship, and exile. As a child, Sundiata faced many challenges. Some traditions describe him as unable to walk during his early years, while others focus upon the political rivalries that surround his family. After the death of his father, dangerous tensions grew within the kingdom. Those who feared Sundiata's future potential sought to diminish his influence and remove him from power. Eventually, circumstances forced him, his mother, and members of their household into exile. The future ruler of Mali found himself far from the homeland he was destined to lead. The years that followed were difficult. Sundiata traveled through unfamiliar territories, crossing vast grasslands, forests, and settlements spread across West Africa. Each new land presented challenges. Some communities welcomed the travelers, while others viewed them with suspicion. Resources were often limited, and the uncertainty of exile weighed heavily upon everyone involved. Yet even during these difficult years, Sundiata was not alone. Family members, trusted advisors, warriors, and loyal companions chose to remain at his side despite the hardship they faced. Among these allies were individuals who believed in Sundiata long before his destiny became apparent to the wider world. They shared food when supplies grew scarce. They offered encouragement when setbacks occurred. They protected one another during dangerous journeys and difficult negotiations. Most importantly, they preserved hope. While exile could have scattered the group, shared loyalty kept them united. Through years of travel and hardship, bonds of trust grew stronger rather than weaker. As Sundiata matured, news eventually reached him that his homeland was suffering beneath oppressive rule. Many people remembered the rightful heir who had been driven away and called for his return. When the time came to reclaim his kingdom, Sundiata did not ride alone. The companions who had endured exile alongside him now stood ready to help restore justice. Warriors, advisors, and allies gathered around him, bringing the strength of many communities together toward a common purpose. Their unity became one of the decisive factors in his success. The Epic of Sundiata remains powerful because it recognizes that great achievements rarely belong to a single individual. Leaders may stand at the center of history, but they are often supported by countless relationships built through trust and shared struggle. Sundiata's companions were not merely supporting characters within his story, they were essential participants in its outcome. The epic reminds us that loyalty formed during difficult seasons can become one of life's greatest sources of strength. When challenges arise, the people who remain beside us often help shape the future as profoundly as any hero. Story 3: The Blackfoot Twin Heroes. Long ago, when the plains stretched endlessly beneath the sky and the mountains rose like distant guardians along the western horizon, the Blackfoot people told stories of heroic twins whose bonds shaped their destiny. Though different versions of the traditions exist among the Blackfoot and neighboring plains people, many tell of twin brothers whose strength came not from standing apart but from standing together. One often possessed qualities the other lacked. Where one was thoughtful, the other was bold. Where one relied upon wisdom, the other relied upon action. Alone, each was capable. Together, they become something greater. The twins grew up hearing stories of dangers that roamed beyond the familiar camps of their people. Monsters lurked in remote valleys. Unseen powers moved through lonely stretches of prairie. Travelers spoke of strange beings that threatened hunters and frightened entire communities. As they matured, the brothers became determined to face these dangers and bring safety to their people. Yet the elders understood that courage without wisdom could become recklessness. Just as wisdom without courage could become hesitation, the brothers would need one another if they hoped to succeed. Their first great journey carried them across rolling grasslands painted gold beneath the summer sun. Herds of bison thundered across the distance, and eagles circled high above. For days they traveled through beautiful but unforgiving country, sharing responsibilities along the way. One brother hunted while the other kept watch. One studied tracks while the other planned their route. Each relied upon the strengths of the other. The partnership that had been formed through years of shared experience became increasingly important as the challenges before them grew more difficult. Eventually, they reached a remote place feared by many travelers. There, according to the stories, they encountered a dangerous being whose presence had troubled nearby communities. Different tellings describe different adversaries, but the lesson remains consistent. The brothers did not overcome the challenge because one was stronger than the other. They prevailed because they worked together. When one faced danger, the other provided support. When one became uncertain, the other offered clarity. Every obstacle required cooperation, trust, and the willingness to place the needs of the partnership above individual pride. As their adventures continued, the twins became known not only for defeating threats, but also for the example they provided. Their relationship demonstrated that strength does not always emerge from independence. Sometimes it emerges through connection. The Blackfoot storytellers understood that survival upon the plains depended upon communities, families, and alliances. No hunter succeeded entirely alone. No camp thrived without cooperation. The twin heroes reflected these values throughout every challenge they faced. For generations, their stories reminded listeners that life's greatest journeys are rarely solitary. Even the strongest individual benefits from trusted companions who provide support during difficult times. The twins succeeded because they recognized that loyalty creates strength greater than any single person can possess. Their adventures continue to endure because they reveal a timeless truth. When people stand beside one another with trust and purpose, they become capable of overcoming challenges that might otherwise seem impossible. Story 4: Zal and the Rising of Rostam. In the ancient land celebrated within the Persian epic tradition, heroes often emerged through extraordinary circumstances. Yet few relationships proved as important as that between Zal and his son Rostam. Their story, preserved within the Shahnameh, begins before Rostam's birth and unfolds across generations. It is not merely the tale of a great warrior, it is also the story of guidance, loyalty, and the quiet strength of those who stand beside heroes long before the world recognizes them. Zal himself was remarkable from the moment he entered the world. Born with white hair, he frightened his father, who believed the unusual appearance was an ill omen. As a result, the infant was abandoned upon a remote mountain. There he was discovered by the great Simurgh, a wise and powerful bird, who raised him among the cliffs and clouds. Under the Simurgh's protection, Zal grew into a man of wisdom, courage, and compassion. Eventually, he was reunited with his family and returned to human society, carrying with him lessons learned from his extraordinary upbringing. Years later, Zal married Rudaba, and together they awaited the birth of their child. Yet the pregnancy proved difficult and dangerous. According to the epic, both mother and child faced grave peril. Desperate to save them, Zal called upon the Simurgh, whose wisdom had guided him throughout his life. The great bird appeared once more and offered knowledge that would preserve both lives. Through this guidance, Rostam was born safely into the world. From the beginning, his life depended not only upon his own future strength, but also upon the support of those who cared for him. As Rostam grew, his extraordinary abilities quickly became apparent. He possessed immense courage, remarkable physical power, and a spirit suited to great adventures. Yet Persian storytellers never present him as a hero who emerged entirely on his own. Zal remained a constant source of guidance. Whenever difficult choices appeared, Rostam could turn to his father for wisdom. When uncertainty clouded the future, Zal offered perspective, earned through experience. Their relationship became a partnership between youthful strength and mature understanding. Many of Rostam's greatest victories were possible because of the foundation laid by those who stood beside him. The lesson of the Simurgh shaped Zal. Zal's guidance shaped Rostam. In this way, strength passed from one generation to the next. The epic reminds listeners that heroes are rarely formed in isolation. Behind many great accomplishments stand mentors, parents, friends, and allies whose influence greatly shapes the future. For centuries, the story of Zal and Rostam has endured because it celebrates more than individual greatness. It honors loyalty, guidance, and the relationship that sustains people throughout life's challenges. The tale suggests that every traveler benefits from someone who believes in them before success arrives, someone willing to offer wisdom during uncertainty and encouragement during hardship. Such allies may not always stand at the center of the story, yet their presence often makes the journey possible. Daily Thread for June 14th, The Ally. No traveler walks far before discovering that strength alone is rarely enough. Robin Hood found companions beneath the sheltering branches of the greenwood and learned that loyalty can transform a band of outcasts into a family capable of enduring any hardship. Sundiata crossed the long roads of exile surrounded by those who refused to abandon him. And when the time came to reclaim his destiny, it was their faith as much as his own that carried him forward. The Blackfoot twin heroes faced dangers across the vast plains together, proving that wisdom and courage grow stronger when joined rather than divided. Zal guided Rostam long before the young warrior became a legend, reminding us that every great hero stands upon foundations laid by those who came before. Across forests, savannas, mountains, and grasslands, these stories return again and again to the same enduring truth. The journey is never truly ours alone. There are hands that steady us when we stumble, voices that encourage us when doubt grows loud, and companions who remain beside us when the road becomes difficult. The old storytellers understood that alliances are not conveniences created during times of comfort. They are forged through shared struggles, mutual trust, and the quiet decision to remain when leaving would be easier. Long after victories fade and adventures become memories, it is often the companions themselves who endure as the most valuable treasure gained along the way. The path ahead may be uncertain, but it becomes far less frightening when we realize that someone is walking beside us, carrying part of the burden, sharing part of the hope, and helping us become stronger than we could ever be alone.